Hey friends, I have a reading for you today for somebody who feels that they are not succeeding in something that is important to them, for somebody who feels they have dropped the ball. So let's go ahead and jump right in. Today, guiding our reading, we have undressing of the salad. Okay, so you think about the term undressing of the salad, kind of a little play on words there, like salad dressing, dressing your salad. You can't undress the salad, right? This card speaks to things that we feel like are impossible. It speaks to, monumental tasks, huge things that we feel might be a little bit overwhelming, or, like you have this vision of something absolutely wondrous and beautiful and fantastic that you want to do or create, but then you're thinking like, oh, it's just little me, and, we're not really getting anywhere. How am I gonna, make this big thing happen, right? So, interestingly, we have the Fae in this card. They are juggling these balls, right? And they're doing this monumental task of keeping the world moving, keeping everything balanced and in order. And sometimes chaos happens, right? You might accidentally drop a ball, or you might accidentally, as in, just let it go. Maybe there's something that you have, dropped, so to speak, or that you didn't accomplish, or that you didn't do, and now you're kind of taking it a little bit harshly, right? Because you have such big, grand goals for yourself. If you didn't do a thing that you wanted to do, you might feel this is kind of a failing. And the thing about that is anything that you experience in life, whether it's, like a difficulty, a perceived negative kind of experience, or, something more perceived positive kind of experience, we can use these things, no matter what they are, as fuel to move us forward, right? Whether you take the left fork in the road or you take the right fork in the road, you find that they ultimately end up coming together. So this is what I want to kind of encourage you about, to realize that whatever the thing that you are feeling that you did not succeed in, whatever thing that you feel you failed at, you didn't fail. You just went down a particular direction, and you're still going to get to where you're going. Okay, starting out, we have the Eight of Cups. So when looking at the Eight of Cups, this individual here, he doesn't have his nine, the fulfillment, the wishes come true, the dreams, that contentment, the prosperity, the joy. He's almost there, but he's missing a cup. So he, heads off into the mountains. It's kind of the, the F this kind of card. Like, I'm going to leave this behind because there's something I am seeking out that I feel that I need. Now, this can actually be a kind of a rebirth process for you, because we have the Judgment card here. Okay? When you think about the Judgment card, that is that call to awakening, the rebirth, the being born again type of an experience. And you're thinking, like, well, how does this failure equate to my, my rebirth, my success? And ultimately, it comes down to this temperance energy, this kind of alchemical process, right? He's juggling these balls, just as the Fae in this card, they're juggling the balls. You can expect that there are going to be things in your life that, when you're working on a project, say like if you're a carpenter, for example, you're hammering away at something, and you hit the nail wrong and it bends, or you smash your thumb, or whatever the case being. Like, there's always going to be little things in life that, may kind of like throw us off, have little difficulties here and there. But if you take this energy, and instead of, just like complaining about it, and you take it and you say, okay, I'm going to alchemize this energy, right? I'm going to choose love instead of choosing fear. You take this energy, you alchemize it, you can use it as fuel. This is kind of a motivation to help you, figure out like what it is that you need to do, what corrections you need to make. Okay, we have next the Queen of Pentacles. All right, so the Queen of Pentacles, she's very much a nurturing mother kind of figure. She definitely, knows how to provide. She is there to support, to encourage, to nurture. You have this need that whenever you are facing some kind of difficulty, to be kind to yourself, right? This could be the self-care queen. You need to be kind to yourself to realize that your mistakes aren't really mistakes. Okay? You are at this page of Pentacles, right? You're still learning, you're still growing. You have this thing that you're creating, and what you need is just consistency. Practice, 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 right? You have this fresh new, like idea, creativity. The thing has started. Sometimes you might make mistakes. That's okay. Because if you are consistent, if you are this, bring this King of Pentacles energy in, the practicality, the, showing up every day with a plan, ready to do the thing, even if you make, mistakes, as long as you stay with the process, you will bring this prosperity. And it's interesting that I actually have these cards like this, right? This Page of Pentacles being sandwiched in between the Queen and the King, right? So if you're kind to yourself, nurture yourself, and you show up, and do the thing, and you're, solid, you're consistent, if you continue along the path, you continue along the process, you will grow, right? The page is still a child. You do eventually grow into the King or Queen of Pentacles, but it doesn't happen overnight, right? A child doesn't become an adult the moment they're born. They take time. They have to grow. You have to take time and grow, so be easy on yourself. Okay. We have the Hierophant. Okay, so when you think about the Hierophant, the thing is that they are supposed to be like somebody who sets an example. You have this religious leader, somebody who, like, their whole entire career, their whole entire identity is wrapped around, like, their connection to God, living a righteous life, having that connection to divinity. Here's the thing, he's a human. He makes mistakes, The embodiment of divinity isn't about, this show of perfection, even though he does have this outward show of perfection because others, they look up to him. You have to understand that, like, whatever, even if other people are perceiving you a certain way, or even if you're perceiving yourself a certain way, you are human. Okay? And this is part of this alchemical process. We're looking at the Two of Cups here. Perhaps this could be a romance card. There's a strong possibility. But what I'm getting the impression of here is my attention is actually on this synergy, right? You have the lion energy. You have the or if you can see it. Wow. She's got the Caduceus on her sleeve. So, like, imagine you have this connection right here, right? That ends up sprouting the wings, right? These wings aren't necessarily from either of them. So you have this masculine energy, the practicality, the solid plan, the showing up, the self-nurturing, bringing them together. This harmony, this synergy is what's going to allow you to ascend, to be able to, accomplish whatever you're reaching toward. And the thing is, right, like I said, we're looking at this King and the Queen, and there's this, inner child card here, the page. You want to befriend that inner child, right? You have this boy here, he's offering another cup to the little girl. This is the I want to be your friend. This is the unabashed, like, no conditions, let's be friends, right? You don't have to be like, hey, I don't deserve this thing because I make mistakes, because I'm imperfect, just befriend that inner child, the part of you, like your 3-year-old self. Would you tell your 3-year-old self that, hey, you're a failure, you can accomplish nothing? I hope not. I seriously hope not. No, you want to speak kindness, nurturing, provide that security, and safety for yourself, right? This is very important to helping you get along the way, right? Because if, you just go real strong, hard on whatever your goals, whatever the thing that you're building toward, eventually you're going to burn yourself out. So this pace, this kindness, the consistency in showing up and working toward the thing that you're building toward is going to help you get there with more ease. It's going to help you stay consistent for the long term to actually get to where you're going, right? You could be fast and you burn out halfway, or like take kind of like the tortoise and the hare type symbolism. You have the hare who's just fast, right? And they just go and they get overconfident and decide to take a nap. And the tortoise just kind of steadily along and he eventually wins, right? This is what you want to kind of take into consideration. Your slow movement is not no movement, it's sure movement. Okay, so we do eventually come to this 9 of Cups, that satisfaction that, you were here, you were looking for that extra cup, you will find it. And the thing is, how you find that is through this non-judgmental energy. Now, someone might look at the 2 of Swords and think, well, how's this non-judgmental energy? This is the you shall not pass. So the reality of the matter is, actually, the 2 of Swords originally was not interpreted in that way. The 2 of Swords, she's got this blindfold, right? So there's no judgment, kind of like the Justice card, right? There's not the I'm going to help you, I'm going to hinder you. She's got her 2 swords crossed. This would be a very impractical position to try to start a fight from, like with your swords crossed. Normally you would be on, you have like your shield, your sword, you'd be in a good stance, right? This is very impractical. And the thing of the matter is, it's deliberate, because it's like, I'm not inhibiting you. If you don't judge yourself, you're not going to stop yourself. You are free to move forward. Okay? The death, the failings, it's all recycled, right? Spring moves to summer, summer moves to fall, fall moves to winter, right? You have this decomposition process. Let whatever the thing that you felt left down about, or you feel that you did not accomplish, let that be fuel. Let it decompose, turn into the soil that you nurture into something new. You have this 7 of Pentacles, right? You can use the experience to grow from. Like, hey, if I approach a thing from a certain way, that this is, likely to go this way. If I approach them from another way, it's likely to go that way, right? Use the experience to nurture yourself, to grow what you're building toward, right? Nothing has to be, an end-all, be-all says, like, I can't do this. Everything can be fuel. Everything can be nourishment for the soil, for your growth. Okay? Eventually, you will get your wish, right? The Star. She's got this focus right here, She pours both into the land and into the water, right? You as long as you pour into, the practical, the emotional, you keep this balance, your focus, your wish, has no choice but to come true, right? You walk in the direction of something, even if you're not moving fast, as long as you continue to walk toward it, you do eventually reach it. Okay. Now, good news, the Knight of Cups. Like I said earlier, we had this 2 of Cups. That could be love, right? The Knight of Cups definitely is speaking of that lover kind of energy, the knight in shining armor, the, romantic individual coming into your life. You have help. the individual here, they've got this 10 of wands, right? He's carrying this full burden, you know, all by himself. He's almost home. He's almost at the village. Let this person help you. Somebody wants to bless you. And I know we probably have a certain amount of hesitation, you know, like I could do this all on my own, or I've always had to do this on my own. Why should I expect that somebody's going to help me now? But the thing of the matter is, it's an emotional energy, right? If you stay in this mentality of that, I have to do this on my own, yeah, you'll get there. But you're going to have to carry that all by yourself. Versus if you say, you know what, I'm totally open to somebody coming in and being a team with me. Somebody coming in, you know, offering me care, support. What happens is you kind of gain this freedom, right? You become the sun. You know, he's got one staff here. Not 10 wands, one staff. And what I'm seeing here, you know, you have the red of his tunic, and then this red of the flag, and, you know, you kind of get back into this freedom, right? You don't have to carry around this image of, you know, like, I have to be this way, I have to appear this way. You can certainly use that whenever, you know, it's appropriate to, you know, to help you to accomplish your goals. But the reality is, you know that you are just life. You're just a being, and you're here, and, you know, you're free. Okay? So you come into this freedom. You've accepted the help. What now? What do you do now that you've freed up all this space, all this energy and time in your life? Well, you get to know yourself. You practice, you know, going within. You develop your intuition. You really learn what it is you want, right? When you have time to get out of just survival mode, you get to really decide what it is that matters to you. You get this turning within, this psychic perception, this intuition, this self-knowledge. You know, the world is right at your fingertips. Anything you want, you can accomplish, right? You go within, you discover what you want, and then you say, okay, let's make it happen. You set out a venture. This individual here, you know, he's sent the ships out, and, you know, he's thinking about all the possibilities, what he wants to create, where he wants to go. You're probably chomping at the bit, right? A horse, when they're restless, when they're anxious, they're ready to go, they chew on their bit, right? If you know anything about horses, I don't, but I understand the terminology, you know, like chomping at the bit. But okay, so you're probably chomping at the bit, right? You're eager, you're ready to go. You have all this energy, right? Focus. You have this Eight of Swords. Ace of Swords, not 8. It's Ace of Swords, right? Bring your attention directly in toward the thing, right? You know, you can accomplish anything, but not everything. So pick the direction that you want to go, right? This energy, this restlessness that you have, and focus that, right? You can move forward in a direction that is going to be, you know, of more ease to you because you have directed yourself onto a path. And the thing about that is, it is in fact a journey, right? The Six of Swords, this individual going from, you know, some old land into a new land. This is all about the journey. Yes, you're going to get to the other shore, but don't discount where you're at right now. You are moving forward. This is a time of exploration. This is the time of discovery. Okay. I hope that this reading has offered you some encouragement, some understanding that, like, any experiences that you're having in your life, whether they're perceived as negative or positive, have the potential for you to use to help you grow, for you to use to move forward. Accept some help. It's okay. You don't have to do everything yourself, and then when you let go of some of those burdens, then you can really look within and decide what you want for yourself and enjoy the journey. I would absolutely love it if you would go ahead and drop a comment in the video. Like the video. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, I would absolutely love it if you would subscribe. Go ahead into the channel, look at my videos, and see what resonates with you, and I'll see you in the next one.